The greatest war you'll ever fight is the one inside your own mind. Not against other people. Not against circumstances. Against your doubt, your fear, your excuses, your weakness. Every day, that inner enemy tries to control your choices. Every day, it tries to pull you back into comfort, hesitation, and regret. This audiobook is your training ground. Today, you stop losing. Today, you learn how to win the inner battle, and once you win that, you win everything. Chapter 1. Face your inner enemy. You want to rise. You want to build discipline. You want to change the direction of your life. But before you can do any of that, you have to confront the truth almost nobody wants to face. Your biggest opponent isn't the world. Your biggest opponent is the voice inside you that whispers later, not ready, not good enough. That voice is the real barrier. That voice is the real thief. That voice is the real enemy. And if you want to win, you must learn the first rule of personal transformation. Name the enemy. Face the enemy. Confront it every day. You have a choice. That's the key. You can surrender to that voice, or you can recognize it for what it is. A pattern, a habit, a mental reflex designed to keep you small. You don't need its permission. You don't need its approval. You don't need to negotiate with it. You just need to see it clearly. Because winning begins with awareness. Awareness of your patterns, your triggers, and your mental defaults. The enemy hides in your mind. That voice doesn't scream. It whispers. It sneaks in. It blends into your thoughts. It sounds like your own logic. It pretends to protect you. It claims it's trying to keep you safe, keep you comfortable, keep you realistic. But look deeper. Pay attention. Every time that voice speaks, it wants one thing. Stagnation. It wants you to stay still. It wants you to stay doubtful. It wants you to stay passive. Sometimes it sounds like fear. What if you fail? Sometimes it sounds like self-judgment. You're not good enough. Sometimes it sounds reasonable. This isn't the right time. Different voice, same purpose, to stop you. You have a choice. That's the key. It's not about fear. It's about discipline. It's not about uncertainty. It's about action. It's not about feeling ready. It's about showing up. Awareness is step 1. People say they want to change. But most people never notice the moment they sabotage themselves. They think change is about motivation. They think change is about confidence. They think change is about the perfect plan. Wrong. Change begins with awareness. Awareness of the exact moment you hesitate. Awareness of the exact thought that pulls you off track. Awareness of the exact pattern that has been repeating for years. If you want transformation, start here. Watch your mind. Watch your excuses. Watch your automatic reactions. Observe them like an outsider. When you delay the task, ask yourself why. When you avoid the decision, ask yourself what thought showed up first. When you lower your standards, ask yourself who you're listening to. That's the voice. That's the enemy. That's the barrier you've never confronted. You don't need its permission. You only need awareness. Calling out the voice strips its power. Here is the practical instruction most people never use but desperately need. Every time the inner voice speaks, call it out. Say it out loud. Say it clearly. Say it with authority. This is the enemy. When it whispers, not ready, say, this is the enemy. When it whispers, do it later, say, this is the enemy. When it whispers, not good enough, say, this is the enemy. Naming it breaks the spell. Naming it removes its disguise. Naming it turns it from truth into noise. Because the moment you name it, you remind yourself. You have a choice. And you don't need its permission. You must stop obeying that voice. This is where real transformation happens. The voice will always speak. But you don't have to obey it. Every time you obey the voice of hesitation, you build weakness. Every time you obey the voice of fear, you strengthen doubt. Every time you obey the voice of delay, you train yourself to avoid responsibility. You are conditioning yourself with every choice you make. You're either training discipline or training avoidance. You're either training courage or training fear. You're either training momentum or training stagnation. It's not about motivation. It's about discipline. It's not about perfection. It's about consistency. That's the key. You have a choice. Repetition creates a new identity. You already know repetition is powerful. But here's a truth most people ignore. Repetition is how you rewire your identity. Every time you call out the enemy, you build awareness. Every time you act despite the enemy, you build strength. Every time you refuse to negotiate, you build authority over your mind. One action won't change you. One burst of motivation won't save you. One moment of courage won't rewrite your future. Repetition will. Say it again. Name the enemy. Face the enemy. Confront it every day. That's how you win the inner battle. That's how you build discipline. That's how you transform into someone unrecognizable. It's not about feeling ready. It's about showing up. It's not about confidence. It's about behavior. It's not about emotion. It's about commitment. You have a choice. What you must do right now. Here is your clear, simple, powerful instruction. Step 1. Watch your mind today. Pay attention to every moment of hesitation. Step 2. Label the voice. Say, "This is the enemy." Step 3. Do the action anyway. Even if it's small. Even if it's uncomfortable. Even if you don't feel prepared. Step 4. Repeat it tomorrow. Repeat it the next day. Repeat it until the enemy loses its influence. This is how discipline is born. This is how momentum begins. This is how you reclaim authority over your life. You don't need the enemy's permission. You need your own decision. That's the key. And that choice is yours. Chapter 2. Stop negotiating with weakness. Every day, you stand in front of a decision. A real one. A decision that shapes your future, your habits, and your identity. Will you choose comfort, or will you choose discipline? Most people underestimate that choice. They assume excuses carry no weight. They act as if postponing action is harmless. Here is the truth you haven't confronted. Every excuse is a negotiation with comfort. Every negotiation weakens your character. You negotiate when the alarm rings. You negotiate when tasks feel demanding. You negotiate when the goal requires effort. You negotiate when temptation lowers your standards. Each negotiation erodes your strength. Each negotiation reinforces softness. Each negotiation removes discipline from the driver's seat. You have a choice. That's the key. You don't need comfort's approval. You don't need motivation's blessing. You don't need permission from anyone to follow through. You need discipline. Nothing else. The real damage of negotiation. Negotiation seems harmless because it feels subtle. But subtle forces often break you faster than obvious ones. Comfort speaks with a calm tone. It whispers convenient suggestions. It offers seductive alternatives. Sleep a little longer. Work later. You've done enough already. You earned some rest. Comfort pretends to protect you. Comfort pretends to understand you. Comfort pretends to care. But comfort cares only about comfort. It doesn't care about your goals. It doesn't care about your growth. It doesn't care about your future. Comfort wants one outcome. Keep you unchanged. And when you negotiate with comfort, you surrender control. You have a choice. And every choice either strengthens you or softens you. That's the key. Discipline is not decided daily. Here is a truth strong people understand. Discipline expands when you decide once and execute consistently. Discipline collapses when you debate daily. Read that again carefully. If you choose a wake-up time, you follow it without reconsideration. If you choose a training routine, you execute without emotional checks. If you choose a commitment, you uphold it without renegotiation. If you choose a standard, You protect it without hesitation. The most disciplined individuals do not revisit decisions. They do not depend on moods. They do not rely on inspiration. Their strength comes from clarity, not excitement. Their consistency comes from commitment, not boosts of energy. Their progress comes from discipline, not external encouragement. You don't need their permission. You don't need validation. You don't need perfect circumstances. You need to follow through on the decision you already made. It's not about emotion. It's about execution. It's not about perfection. It's about persistence. It's not about comfort. It's about character. That's the key. Negotiation destroys momentum. Think about your last unproductive day. A day when you said, "I'll start later." What happened? Momentum disappeared. Standards slipped. Focus scattered. One delay created another. Then another. Then another. Because hesitation spreads like a virus. The moment you negotiate once, comfort gains leverage. The moment you allow softness, discipline retreats. The moment you break your standard, your identity shifts downward. Momentum dies quietly. But once it dies, rebuilding takes far more energy. Negotiation kills momentum. Negotiation kills progress. Negotiation kills commitment. You have a choice. And one choice can resurrect momentum or destroy it completely. Non-negotiables build strength. If you want discipline, you must build non-negotiables. Non-negotiables are rules you set once. Rules you follow without debate. Rules you protect without exception. You don't check your mood. You don't wait for inspiration. You don't adjust based on circumstances. You move. You execute. You follow through. Here are non-negotiables you need to establish. 1. A consistent wake-up time. Reliable. Steady. Unchanging. 2. A guaranteed work block. Focused. Protected. Sacred. 3. A physical routine. Not for appearance. 4. Discipline. 4. A daily learning ritual. To sharpen your mind and expand your value. 5. A strict boundary with distractions. Because distractions steal the energy discipline depends on. These are personal laws. These are commitments that shape your character. These are standards that construct your future. You don't need permission to enforce them. You need resolve. That's the key. Stop negotiating with weakness. Identity shapes everything. When you negotiate with weakness, you strengthen weakness. When you negotiate with excuses, you empower excuses. When you negotiate with comfort, you absorb comfort's habits. But when you end negotiation, your identity shifts. You become someone who follows through. You become someone who acts without hesitation. You become someone who honors commitments. It's not about flaws. It's about discipline. It's not about setbacks. It's about recovery. It's not about yesterday. It's about right now. You have a choice. Stop negotiating with weakness. Stop bargaining with excuses. Stop entertaining comfort's offers. Discipline replaces weakness when negotiation ends. What you must do today. Here is your transformation assignment. Step 1. Identify your 3 biggest negotiation points. Where do you delay? Where do you overthink? Where do you choose comfort? Step 2. Convert each negotiation into a clear non-negotiable rule. Define it once. Commit to it fully. Protect it aggressively. Step 3. Apply one rule consistently for 7 straight days. No exceptions. No adjustments. No emotional interference. Step 4. Track your strength. Watch your confidence rise. Watch your energy increase. Watch your identity evolve. This is how discipline grows. This is how momentum returns. This is how transformation begins. You don't need their permission. You need your decision. That's the key. Chapter 3. Master the first thought. Control the second. Every action begins with a story. Every behavior grows from an internal command. Every outcome reflects a silent script running beneath your awareness. You move according to the narrative you rehearse. That narrative shapes your choices, your confidence, your limits, your future. You rise when your story empowers you. You crumble when your story weakens you. That's the truth. That's the key. Most people never examine the script controlling their life. They accept inherited beliefs without question. They repeat old lines written by insecure parents, distracted teachers, careless friends, or their own past mistakes. They continue acting out roles they never chose. They sleepwalk through each day following outdated instructions. And then they wonder why life feels heavy, chaotic, or stagnant. You have a choice. You can keep speaking the same internal language that traps you, or you can install a new command system that pushes you toward the identity you want to embody. Growth demands that you confront the narrative ruling your mind. Discipline requires that you rewrite it with intention. Victory begins when you stop allowing old stories to dictate new chapters. Let's be clear. This is not about blaming your past. This is about reclaiming your authority. Your mind is programmable. Your thoughts are adjustable. Your beliefs are flexible. Yet your programming remains unchanged until you challenge it. You don't need their permission. You don't need approval from anyone who contributed to your previous narrative. You don't need validation from individuals who never understood your goals. You only need a decision. You only need commitment. You only need a new script. Listen carefully. Every time you say, "I'm tired," you reinforce fatigue. Every time you say, "I can't," you deepen helplessness. Every time you say, "It's just who I am," you strengthen limitation. Your language becomes your leash. But the opposite is also true. Every time you say, "I choose discipline," you activate power. Every time you say, "I move with intention," you install direction. Every time you say, "I decide my path," you build internal authority. Your words become your weapon. This chapter is about transformation through narrative. Not imagination. Not fantasy. Not empty affirmations. Real change emerges from consistent internal instruction. You train your mind through repetition. You train your identity through deliberate phrasing. You train your future through disciplined internal dialogue. Here's the reality. Your brain listens to your voice more than any other voice on earth. Your brain believes what you consistently tell it. Your brain follows whatever narrative you normalize. If you speak weakness, you become weaker. If you speak chaos, you create disorder. If you speak defeat, you attract collapse. So here is the command. Rewrite the script. Step 1. Identify the old narrative. Sit with your thoughts without distraction. Notice the phrases you use during stress, frustration, failure, or fatigue. Notice the automatic comments you whisper internally before starting anything difficult. Notice the language that shows up when you feel uncertain. This is crucial. Hidden beliefs often expose themselves through quick self-talk. When you catch yourself saying, "I'm not good enough," you uncover a fracture. When you hear, "This always happens to me," you reveal a pattern. When you think, "People like me don't succeed," you discover sabotage. Your job is not to judge these statements. Your job is to recognize them. Awareness gives you control. Awareness reveals the script. Awareness shows you the narrative running your life. You have a choice. Step 2. Challenge the unhelpful commands. Every limiting belief must be confronted. You cannot upgrade your identity while protecting outdated programming. You cannot build strength while defending weakness. You cannot move forward while clinging to flawed instructions. When an old narrative surfaces, you push back. When a self-defeating thought appears, you counter it. When an inherited belief tries to guide your behavior, you replace it. Say it directly and firmly, "That story no longer serves me." Say it again, "I execute new commands." Say it with conviction, "I choose discipline over doubt." That's the key. You interrupt automatic weakness with deliberate strength. Step 3. Install a new narrative. This is where transformation becomes real. You create a statement that reflects the identity you want to live. Not the identity others gave you. Not the identity shaped by past mistakes. Not the identity molded by fear. You craft commands that redirect your focus and reinforce discipline. Examples. I move with intention, not impulse. I choose clarity over confusion. I prioritize action over comfort. I respect myself through consistent effort. I live according to my standards. These are not casual phrases. These are internal operating instructions. You repeat them until your mind absorbs them. You repeat them until the words feel natural. You repeat them until new behavior becomes automatic. You have a choice. You can continue acting from old wounds, or you can build a narrative grounded in strength. You can continue feeding doubt, or you can generate momentum through clarity. You can continue following broken scripts, or you can design a new identity. Step 4. Align behavior with the narrative. Words without action collapse. Commands without execution fade. Beliefs without consistency fail. When you create a new narrative, you must protect it through behavior. When you state a new command, you must reinforce it through action. When you choose a new identity, you must maintain it through discipline. If your narrative says, I honor my time, then you eliminate distractions. If your narrative says, I prioritize growth, then you practice daily improvement. If your narrative says, I choose strength, then you reject excuses. Behavior solidifies identity. Identity strengthens narrative. Narrative influences behavior. This cycle becomes your engine for long-term transformation. Chapter 4. Build an unbreakable mental edge. Mental strength is not born in comfort. It is forged in pressure. It is refined through adversity. It grows when you deliberately confront challenges. Discomfort is not a threat. Discomfort is a tool. Discomfort is your personal trainer. Discomfort tests your limits, stretches your capacity, and forces you to perform beyond automatic responses. You have a choice. You can shrink from discomfort. You can wait for ease. You can avoid the tension that life delivers. Or you can face it. You can engage it. You can use it to grow. That's the key. Understand the purpose of pressure. Every difficult situation, every high-stress moment, every challenge contains hidden opportunity. Pressure reveals weaknesses. Pressure exposes gaps in skill, patience, and discipline. Pressure uncovers the mental patterns that sabotage performance. Most people fear pressure. Most people avoid conflict. Most people flee discomfort. And that is why most people never grow beyond their current limits. You don't need their permission. You don't need circumstances to be easier. You don't need life to deliver fairness. You only need discipline. You only need focus. You only need the ability to stay composed and deliberate under strain. It's not about comfort. It's about resilience. It's not about avoiding stress. It's about mastering your reaction. It's not about luck. It's about consistent mental training. Recognize the signs of weakness under pressure. Pressure exposes habits, patterns, and thoughts that limit performance. Do you get impatient when progress is slow? Do you panic when outcomes are uncertain? Do you allow fear to dictate decisions when stakes are high? Do you let anger, frustration, or anxiety cloud judgment? These are not permanent flaws. These are training opportunities. Every mental failure under pressure is data. Every moment of chaos is feedback. Every emotional spike is a chance to learn control. You have a choice. You can ignore these signs. You can let stress define you. Or you can use the moment as practice. That's the key. Use discomfort as a training tool. Here is the principle successful people live by. Discomfort is the raw material of growth. Pressure is the gym of the mind. Challenges are the weights for your mental muscles. When life is easy, you don't train. When life is predictable, you don't improve. When every moment feels safe, you stagnate. Seek deliberate challenges. Engage in activities that stretch your patience, endurance, and focus. Put yourself in situations that force you to think clearly while under strain. It can be physical. It can be emotional. It can be intellectual. The exact form does not matter. What matters is that you expose yourself to controlled stress. What matters is that you learn to remain composed when instinct says panic. What matters is that you strengthen your mind through deliberate tension. You have a choice. You can seek comfort. Or you can pursue growth. That's the key. Build the habit of composure. Mental strength isn't only created in extreme conditions. It is reinforced through everyday choices. When someone challenges you, stay calm. When criticism comes, respond deliberately. When frustration arises, pause before reacting. When chaos surrounds you, focus on what matters most. Every calm response under stress is a repetition. Every composed action under pressure is a mental rep. Every focused decision under tension is a workout. The more you practice, the stronger you become. The more you repeat control, the more automatic it becomes. The more you rehearse focus, the more chaos stops dictating your behavior. You don't need external validation. You don't need a perfect environment. You don't need the world to cooperate. You only need practice. You only need repetition. You only need a commitment to act under pressure. It's not about avoiding discomfort. It's about embracing it. It's not about fear. It's about composure. It's not about what happens to you. It's about how you respond. Exercises to strengthen mental toughness. 1. Controlled exposure. Deliberately place yourself in mildly uncomfortable situations. Speak up in meetings. Try a new skill under observation. Take cold showers. 2. Deliberate focus. When chaos erupts around you, choose one priority and pursue it with full attention. Ignore distractions. Ignore panic. Execute clearly and deliberately. 3. Emotional awareness. Notice your reactions under pressure. Name the emotion. Anger, fear, frustration. Then make a conscious choice to act intentionally. 4. Reflection and repetition. After each stressful situation, review your performance. What worked? What failed? What can be improved next time? Repetition of these exercises builds mental strength. Repetition builds resilience. Repetition creates a mind that does not crumble under adversity. You have a choice. You can avoid discomfort. Or you can treat every challenge as a training session. That's the key. Discipline is the foundation. Mental strength is not accidental. It is not genetic luck. It is deliberate cultivation. Discipline underlies every moment of composure. Discipline allows calm to persist when fear, stress, and uncertainty strike. Discipline converts chaos into clarity. Discipline transforms pressure into progress. Without discipline, pressure becomes pain. Without discipline, challenges become excuses. Without discipline, adversity becomes failure. It's not about who is toughest physically. It's not about who is smartest intellectually. It's about who maintains control when the world demands reaction. You have a choice. You don't need permission. You don't need perfect conditions. You don't need approval. You only need discipline. Chapter 5. Master your daily battles. Big victories are built on small wins. Every extraordinary achievement begins with ordinary actions done consistently. Every monumental outcome originates in daily choices. Every life-altering result is the sum of repeated decisions, executed without hesitation. You have a choice. You can wait for grand moments. You can chase dramatic opportunities. You can depend on luck, timing, or perfect conditions. Or you can focus on what truly matters, the small, non-negotiable actions that create momentum. That's the key. The power of small wins. Most people underestimate the influence of consistent, tiny victories. They look at the mountain of success and think it requires heroic feats. They ignore the repeated steps that compound over time. They fail to see that winning big always begins with winning small. A single action, done right, doesn't feel powerful. A single decision, followed by repetition, doesn't feel transformative immediately. But each of these small actions accumulates. Each disciplined choice strengthens your self-control. Each completed task builds confidence, momentum, and resilience. You have a choice. You can overlook small actions, or you can treat them as the foundation of your future. That's the key. Anchor your day with non-negotiable actions. Non-negotiables are the actions you do regardless of mood, circumstance, or energy. They are the anchors of your day. They are the building blocks of discipline. These actions remove uncertainty. They reduce mental friction. They prevent decision fatigue from draining your focus. Identify 3 to 5 core actions that align with your highest priorities. Make them non-negotiable. No excuses. No exceptions. Not today. Not tomorrow. Not ever. Examples. Wake up at a set time. Begin the day with purpose, exercise or movement. Strengthen your body and mind simultaneously, planning or reflection. Determine the most important actions for the day, skill practice or learning. Invest in your future every day, focused work blocks. Eliminate distractions and execute relentlessly. These anchors create structure. They eliminate indecision. They replace chaos with control. You don't need anyone else's approval. You don't need perfect conditions. You only need to commit to the actions you've set. That's the key. Routines reduce uncertainty. Decision-making is exhausting. Every choice you delay, postpone, or overthink drains energy. Every hesitation erodes self-control. Routines remove uncertainty. Routines create clarity. Routines automate discipline. When you follow a structured routine, your mental energy is preserved for high-impact decisions. When you act according to a schedule, your productivity rises automatically. When you automate your priorities, you eliminate friction and doubt. For example, morning routines dictate the start of your day. Evening routines dictate the end. Structured sequences guide meals, work, movement, learning, and rest. The brain no longer debates every choice. The brain executes the plan. You have a choice. You can wander aimlessly through the day, or you can anchor your schedule with decisive, non-negotiable actions. That's the key. The discipline of consistency. Winning small requires one essential habit: consistency. Consistency is the bridge between effort and outcome. It's not about intensity. It's not about extraordinary effort in rare bursts. It's about daily repetition, done correctly, without compromise. If you exercise once a week but skip 4 other days, you won't build strength. If you plan your day but abandon it at the first distraction, you won't create focus. If you study or practice only when inspired, you will plateau. Small wins only accumulate through relentless repetition. The power lies not in one act, but in the act repeated over weeks, months, and years. You have a choice. You can rely on motivation, or you can build a system that enforces action automatically. You don't need permission from anyone. You only need to commit to showing up. That's the key. Eliminate decision fatigue. Every day, people exhaust themselves debating minor choices. What to eat, what to wear, when to start, which email to answer first. Decision fatigue lowers self-control. It increases stress. It creates hesitation and regret. Anchor your small wins to reduce fatigue. Schedule your actions. Automate your priorities. Protect your energy. When non-negotiable actions are predetermined, you free mental space for high-impact decisions. You eliminate the endless internal negotiation. You remove the temptation to compromise. You have a choice. You can waste energy arguing with yourself, or you can protect your mental capital by structuring the day around disciplined anchors. That's the key. Turn small wins into big results. Here is the truth most people ignore. Big results are not accidental. Big results are inevitable when small victories are repeated consistently. Every completed task compounds. Every disciplined choice strengthens confidence. Every executed plan reinforces capability. Momentum grows quietly. Habits become automatic. Performance escalates naturally. Small wins create an unstoppable chain reaction. Chapter 6. Crush the voice of hesitation. Hesitation is a thief. A silent thief. It steals opportunity before it even arrives. It creeps in during the split second before every meaningful action. It whispers doubt. It slows the body. It paralyzes the mind. You have a choice. You can wait. You can linger. You can let the moment pass. Or you can act. Decisively. Immediately. That's the key. The cost of delayed action. Every time you postpone, hesitation gains strength. Every time you linger, confidence weakens. Every time you overthink, momentum dies. It doesn't matter how talented you are. It doesn't matter how prepared you feel. It doesn't matter how perfect the conditions appear. Opportunity rewards decisiveness. Opportunity punishes delay. Opportunity ignores hesitation. Delayed action erodes identity. It signals to your mind that you are unsure, unprepared, or incapable. It trains your brain to doubt yourself. It trains your brain to overthink. You have a choice. You can let hesitation dictate your life. Or you can act immediately, every time, without argument. That's the key. Immediate execution builds confidence. Execution strengthens identity. Execution trains your brain. Execution reinforces belief in your ability to act under pressure. Every time you respond immediately, you prove to yourself that you are decisive. Every time you act instead of waiting, you reinforce strength. Every time you take action before the mind debates, you grow confidence. Delayed action teaches weakness. Delayed action teaches fear. Delayed action teaches indecision. Immediate execution teaches courage. Immediate execution teaches control. Immediate execution teaches dominance over your own mind. You have a choice. You don't need permission. You don't need the perfect moment. You don't need someone else to tell you it's okay. You only need the decision to act. That's the key. How hesitation manifests. Hesitation appears in countless forms. Excuses. I'll do it later. I need more time. Overthinking. What if I fail? What if it's not perfect? Procrastination rituals. Checking your phone. Waiting for motivation. Researching endlessly. Self-doubt. Am I ready? Do I deserve this? Every hesitation is a silent agreement to remain small. Every hesitation is a choice to favor comfort over progress. Every hesitation is a training session for indecision. You have a choice. You can listen to hesitation. Or you can override it immediately. That's the key. Train the habit of immediate action. Decisive action is not instinctual for most people. It must be trained. It must become a habit. Here is the process. Recognize resistance immediately. Notice the first micromoment of hesitation. That split second before doubt appears is the most critical moment. Act before the mind debates. Move your body. Speak your words. Send the email. Start the task. Action neutralizes hesitation. Action reinforces courage. Action prevents doubt from taking hold. Repeat daily. Consistency builds automatic execution. Automatic execution becomes identity. Identity drives future action. Reflect briefly. After the action, observe your energy and confidence. Notice how immediate execution feels. Notice how hesitation feels weaker each time. You have a choice. You can let moments pass. Or you can act decisively and build a stronger version of yourself. That's the key. Why action strengthens identity. Identity is built through repetition, not thought. Belief alone does not change behavior. Thinking about courage does not make you courageous. Every action reinforces who you are. Every immediate response to resistance declares, I am decisive. I am capable. I am in control. Every delay communicates the opposite. It signals fear. It signals uncertainty. It signals weakness. You have a choice. You can let hesitation define you. Or you can let immediate execution define you. That's the key. Practical strategies to crush hesitation. 1. Count to 3 and act. When you feel resistance, no debate. No second guessing. 2. Break tasks into micro-actions. Even if the action seems large or overwhelming, start with one small step. Immediate movement creates momentum. 3. Remove excuses in advance. Prepare tools, materials, and information before action is required. Reduce friction so hesitation has nowhere to grow. 4. Embrace discomfort. Expect resistance. Accept it. Use it as a signal to move, not a signal to delay. 5. Track every instance. Write down every time you act immediately. Notice how confidence accumulates. Notice how hesitation loses control. You have a choice. You can wait for the perfect moment. Or you can act instantly, every time opportunity appears. That's the key. The long-term impact of immediate execution. Immediate execution compounds over time. Repeated decisive action creates a mindset of certainty. Repeated decisive action builds mental toughness. Repeated decisive action forms a reputation of reliability, discipline, and competence. Indecision compounds over time as well. Hesitation grows. Opportunities are lost. Confidence erodes. Identity weakens. Every moment matters. Every decision matters. Every action matters. You have a choice. You don't need permission. You don't need reassurance. You only need to act. That's the key. Final thought. Hesitation is always present. It lurks at the edge of every meaningful action. It tests your courage. It tempts comfort. But decisive action is stronger. Immediate execution is your weapon. Immediate execution strengthens identity. Immediate execution builds unstoppable momentum. You have a choice. You can let hesitation control you. Or you can act decisively. You don't need permission. You don't need approval. You only need courage and discipline. You recognized hesitation. You learned how it weakens confidence. You practiced immediate execution. Now it's time to apply this discipline to your focus, your attention, and your energy. Chapter 7. Protect your emotional territory. Your emotional state is not a byproduct. It is a choice. It dictates clarity. It determines power. It drives every decision you make. If your emotions control you, your thoughts become scattered. Your energy becomes unpredictable. Your decisions become reactive. Opportunities slip through your fingers without notice. You have a choice. You can surrender your state to external forces. You can let chaos, obligations, or other people's moods dictate how you feel. Or you can take control. Deliberately. Consistently. That's the key. Recognize emotional drains. Emotional drains come in many forms. Obligations that do not serve you. Tasks assigned by others that waste time or energy, chaos in your environment, mess, noise, disorganization, or constant interruptions, other people's negativity, complaints, criticism, whining, or toxic influence. These drains are disguised as unavoidable realities. They are not. They are choices you allow to affect you. Every time you absorb unnecessary negativity, you lose focus. Every time you react impulsively, you reduce clarity. Every time you let chaos disturb you, you weaken discipline. You have a choice. You don't need their permission to protect your mind. You don't need validation to maintain composure. You don't need anyone to justify your boundaries. Strengthen your internal foundation. Your mind is like a fortress. Your emotions are the gates. If the gates swing open at the slightest disturbance, the fortress falls. If you cannot maintain composure under pressure, your clarity evaporates. If you react to every external stimulus, your power diminishes. Discipline begins with emotional control. Discipline allows calm to persist when chaos erupts. Discipline protects focus when others demand attention. Discipline strengthens identity when challenges appear. It's not about avoiding difficult people. It's not about escaping responsibilities. It's about choosing how you respond. You have a choice. You can react unconsciously, or you can act intentionally. That's the key. Practical strategies to control your state. 1. Identify triggers. Notice what drains you. Is it people, situations, or internal dialogue? Awareness precedes mastery. 2. Set boundaries. You have the right to protect energy. Say no. Limit exposure. Create spaces where your focus remains undisturbed. 3. Use physical anchors. Breathing, posture, and movement influence emotion. Stand tall. Breathe deeply. Move with intention. 4. Reframe the narrative. Chaos is a signal, not a threat. Criticism is data, not identity. Obligations are challenges, not punishments. 5. Execute microactions. Take control of what you can influence immediately. Small wins stabilize emotional state. Consistent action strengthens composure. You have a choice. You can let external turbulence dominate. Or you can ground yourself with deliberate routines. That's the key. How emotional control builds power. Emotional control amplifies every skill. When you remain calm, your thinking becomes precise. When you maintain focus, your energy becomes unstoppable. When you act intentionally, your influence multiplies. Every leader, every high performer, every successful individual practices this consistently. They do not allow external circumstances to dictate their state. They do not absorb negativity. They do not react impulsively. You don't need their permission to remain grounded. You don't need approval to prioritize composure. You don't need reassurance to maintain calm under pressure. It's not about sensitivity. It's about discipline. Build resilience through habit. Emotional resilience is built, not found. Morning anchor. Begin the day with intentional reflection. Decide your emotional state before the world intervenes. Checkpoints throughout the day. Pause, breathe, and reset when chaos threatens. Evening reflection. Review how you responded. Identify improvements. Reinforce success. Consistency creates automatic stability. Automatic stability reduces stress. Reduced stress increases performance. You have a choice. You can drift through emotional turbulence. Or you can create stability through deliberate habits. That's the key. Reinforce through action, not thought. Thinking about staying calm does nothing. Planning to maintain composure is ineffective without action. Every time you respond intentionally instead of reacting impulsively, you strengthen control. Every time you refuse to absorb negativity, you fortify boundaries. Every time you prioritize clarity over emotional chaos, you grow discipline. Your emotional state is a muscle. It must be exercised daily. It strengthens only through practice. It weakens without application. You have a choice. You can remain reactive, or you can practice deliberate control. That's the key. The consequences of neglecting emotional control. Neglect emotional management, and chaos controls you. Neglect emotional management, and focus evaporates. Neglect emotional management, and your confidence falters. Your decisions will be inconsistent. Your power will be scattered. Your opportunities will slip away. Hesitation, distraction, and stress multiply when the mind is unsettled. You cannot execute at your best if emotional energy leaks. You have a choice. You can let the external world dictate your experience. Or you can master your internal state and command your life. That's the key. What you must do now. Audit your day. Identify the top 3 drains on your emotional energy. Implement boundaries. Remove unnecessary exposure and distractions. Anchor yourself physically. Use posture, breathing, and movement to regulate your state. Practice intentional response. Pause before reacting, then act with clarity and discipline. Reflect nightly. evaluate emotional wins and areas for improvement. These habits build clarity. These habits build power. These habits build discipline that can withstand chaos. You have a choice. You don't need permission. You don't need external approval. You only need commitment. That's the key. Chapter 8. Strengthen your personal standard. Your standards determine your life. Your choices reflect what you accept. Your results are a mirror of what you tolerate. Low standards produce low-quality results. Low standards create mediocrity. Low standards allow excuses, weakness, and compromise to define you. High standards produce power. High standards demand excellence. High standards shape identity, reinforce discipline, and drive consistent action. You have a choice. You can settle. You can accept mediocrity. You can drift through life with weak expectations. Or you can raise the bar. Deliberately. Relentlessly. That's the key. Recognize where you've been settling. Most people live below their potential without even realizing it. They accept half-hearted effort. They tolerate disorganization. They allow excuses to determine outcomes. They follow routines that produce minimal results. Settling becomes invisible. It feels normal. It feels comfortable. And that's the danger. Comfort is a cage disguised as safety. It prevents growth. It weakens resilience. It erodes ambition. You have a choice. You can continue accepting what is easy. Or you can evaluate honestly where you've compromised and demand more from yourself. That's the key. Raise the level of what you accept. Raising standards is not about perfection. It is about commitment. It is about refusing to allow excuses to dictate behavior. It is about setting the minimum acceptable level for effort, results, and conduct higher than it has ever been before. Ask yourself, where have I been tolerating mediocrity in my work? Where have I been settling in my habits or routines? Where have I allowed excuses to replace effort? Where have I let comfort dictate my progress? Answer honestly. Face the truth without excuses. Then raise the bar. Demand better from yourself in every area that matters. Do not negotiate. Do not rationalize. You have a choice. You don't need anyone's approval. You don't need external validation. You only need to decide what you will accept from yourself, and refuse to accept less. That's the key. High standards drive systemic behavior. High standards are useless without alignment. Motivation is unreliable. Discipline falters when left to chance. High standards create automatic excellence. They shape routines, habits, and priorities. They guide your behavior even when you are tired, distracted, or unmotivated. When standards are high, excuses fade. When standards are high, effort becomes non-negotiable. When standards are high, action flows naturally. Systems, habits, and routines are extensions of your standards. How high standards transform life. When standards rise, excuses fade. When standards rise, your habits align with your goals. When standards rise, your environment adapts to your expectations. High standards shape every decision. They dictate what you tolerate from yourself. They dictate what you tolerate from others. They dictate how you manage time, energy, and relationships. It's not about talent. It's not about luck. It's about the discipline to consistently enforce high standards in every action. Low standards teach weakness. Low standards teach complacency. Low standards teach your mind to settle. High standards teach strength. High standards teach accountability. High standards teach your mind to demand excellence from every choice. You have a choice. You don't need permission to enforce your standards. You don't need external pressure to perform at a higher level. You only need discipline. That's the key. The long-term impact of high standards. High standards create confidence. High standards create clarity. High standards create respect, from yourself and from others. Low standards produce self-doubt. Low standards produce frustration. Low standards produce mediocrity. High standards change identity. High standards reinforce discipline. High standards make excellence habitual. It's not about being perfect. It's about refusing to accept mediocrity. It's about designing a life where excellence becomes default. You have a choice. You can accept mediocrity quietly, or you can raise your standards relentlessly. You don't need anyone's permission. You only need discipline. That's the key. Final thought. Your standards dictate your actions. Your standards shape your identity. Your standards determine the quality of your results. You now understand where you've been settling. You now know how to raise the minimum you accept from yourself. You now see how high standards guide behavior automatically. Excellence is not accidental. It is deliberate. It is enforced through standards. You have a choice. You can drift with mediocrity, or you can operate at the highest level possible, consistently and intentionally. That's the key. Chapter 9. Take control before life controls you. Life does not wait. It does not pause for preparation. It does not slow down because you feel unready. Chaos comes quickly. Distractions multiply. Unexpected events appear. Most people react. They are pulled. They are carried. They are tossed around by circumstance. You have a choice. You can react unconsciously, or you can lead consciously. That's the key. Reacting versus leading. Reaction is passive. Reaction is weak. Reaction surrenders control to outside forces. When you react, your energy is scattered. Your focus is fragmented. Your decisions become short-term, emotional, and ineffective. Leadership begins internally. It begins with proactive choices. It begins with clarity about what you will control. It begins with a refusal to let the world dictate your direction. You have a choice. You can drift. You can respond to every crisis. You can let other people's priorities dominate your day. Or you can act deliberately. You can plan ahead. You can control your focus, energy, and actions. That's the key. Plan your energy and time. Energy is limited. Time is finite. Both are constantly attacked by obligations, distractions, and chaos. The reactive person wastes energy. The reactive person follows other people's schedules. The reactive person allows interruptions to decide priorities. The proactive person allocates energy with intention. The proactive person defines time blocks and protects them fiercely. The proactive person prioritizes high-value tasks over low-value noise. You have a choice. You can scatter your energy on distractions. Or you can direct your energy toward results that matter. You don't need permission to protect your focus. You don't need approval to prioritize your life. That's the key. Anticipate. Don't be blindsided. Life will challenge you. Life will test your patience, endurance, and resolve. Those who react are caught off guard. They scramble. They panic. They lose momentum. Leadership anticipates. It foresees obstacles before they appear. It creates plans to navigate difficulty. It reduces surprises and increases composure. Every time you anticipate, you strengthen control. Every time you respond deliberately instead of reacting, you reinforce confidence. Every time you plan for the unexpected, you minimize chaos. You have a choice. You can be blindsided, or you can foresee, prepare, and lead. That's the key. Control your priorities. External events will always demand attention. External people will always make requests. External chaos will always appear. Your power is not in doing everything. Your power is in deciding what matters most. Prioritization is leadership. It separates those who succeed from those who drift. It separates the proactive from the reactive. Focus on what produces results. Ignore what distracts. Act on what aligns with your goals. You have a choice. You can follow the noise, or you can lead with intention. You don't need anyone's permission to enforce boundaries. You don't need validation to prioritize your life. That's the key. Lead in chaos. Chaos is inevitable. Disruption is inevitable. Other people's agendas are inevitable. Reacting gives control to the environment. Leading keeps control in your hands. Leadership is internal before it is external. It is calm in the face of conflict. It is decisive under pressure. It is clarity when everyone else panics. Every proactive choice builds resilience. Every deliberate action reinforces authority over your own life. Every decision guided by strategy strengthens discipline and confidence. You have a choice. You can be swept away, or you can act deliberately, anticipate, and command your circumstances. That's the key. The power of structure. Structure reduces chaos. Structure organizes energy. Structure protects focus. Plan your day. Schedule your priorities. Create time for reflection, execution, and preparation. Without structure, the world will fill your hours with trivialities. Without structure, your energy will be drained by obligations that do not serve your mission. Without structure, reactive living becomes a habit. With structure, you act intentionally. With structure, you minimize wasted effort. With structure, you magnify results. Chapter 10. Live as the warrior within. Your inner warrior is not strength without control. It is not aggression without thought. It is a mindset. A mindset forged in clarity, discipline, and emotional resilience. The world will try to pull you off course. Distractions, temptations, and chaos are constant. Your impulses are loud. Your fears are convincing. Your excuses are persuasive. You have a choice. You can follow the noise. You can react. You can drift. Or you can awaken the warrior within. Deliberate. Intentional. Focused. That's the key. Clarity before action. The inner warrior acts from clarity, not confusion. Every action is deliberate. Every choice aligns with purpose. Every decision reflects identity, not impulse. Indecision weakens strength. Hesitation erodes momentum. Unclear priorities breed reactive living. Clarity is the antidote. Clarity allows focus. Clarity allows speed. Clarity allows confidence. Ask yourself, what truly matters today? Which actions will produce the strongest results? Which commitments align with my purpose? Answer honestly. Answer deliberately. Do not allow external chaos to define your direction. You have a choice. You don't need permission to act with intention. You don't need approval to pursue your priorities. That's the key. Discipline builds the warrior. Strength without discipline is chaos. Discipline without strength is fragile. The inner warrior enforces rules. He does not wait for motivation. He does not negotiate with temptation. He acts, even when energy is low. He acts, even when the world resists. Discipline is doing what must be done, regardless of feelings. Discipline is maintaining structure in a world designed to break it. Discipline is choosing action over avoidance. You have a choice. You can allow weakness to dominate. Or you can enforce discipline consistently. You don't need anyone's permission to hold yourself accountable. That's the key. Emotional strength. The inner warrior is calm under pressure. He does not surrender to fear. He does not react to insult or chaos. He does not allow emotions to dictate action. Emotional strength is trained, not inherited. Every challenge you face is an opportunity to fortify composure. Every adversity is a chance to practice calm focus. It's not about being unfeeling. It's about being unshakable. It's about responding with power instead of reaction. It's about leading yourself when others panic. You have a choice. You can let your emotions control you, or you can strengthen them through conscious practice. You don't need permission to master your own state. That's the key. Purpose drives action. The inner warrior does not wander aimlessly. He moves with purpose. Each step, each effort, each choice serves a greater objective. Impulsive action wastes energy. Avoidance wastes potential. Reactive living produces regret. Purpose eliminates distraction. Purpose channels energy. Purpose aligns action with identity. You have a choice. You can drift through life reacting to stimuli. Or you can operate from intention, allowing purpose to guide every move. You don't need anyone's permission to live intentionally. That's the key. Operate from intention, not impulse. Impulse is loud. Impulse is easy. Impulse leads to regret. Intention is quiet. Intention is deliberate. Intention creates results. The inner warrior waits before he acts. He evaluates. He anticipates. He executes with precision. Every time you act from impulse, you weaken identity. Every time you act from intention, you strengthen it. Every choice guided by conscious purpose reinforces your inner warrior. You have a choice. You can be reactive, or you can be intentional. You don't need permission to act with purpose. That's the key. The inner battle shapes your life. When you identified your inner enemy, you gained clarity. When you stopped negotiating with weakness, you built power. When you mastered your response, took action without waiting, and controlled your emotions, you stepped into a new level of strength. When you transformed pain into fuel, broke your sabotage patterns, held the line with discipline, strengthened your inner voice, and repeated the win daily, you became unstoppable. This is your new standard. This is your new identity. The world will see your results, but the victory begins within. Starting today, win the inner battle. Again, again, and again. Your next decision is the next win. Take it now.